So the 2020 NFL season was a really interesting season for myself and a lot of other Jags fans. Speaking for myself, it was the first time I ever remember, actually the first time ever, I was rooting against the Jaguars every single game. And the reason for that was because the Jaguars needed a quarterback. They flat out needed one. I mean, we've been going through the quarterback carousel for the past several years. From drafting Blake Bortles in 2014, we hung with him for a few years before he was just too mechanically unsound and he throws too many interceptions to even be a backup quarterback in the NFL, where he's not really in the league anymore. Then you kind of transition over and pay Nick Foles a lot of money, and then the same old Nick Foles comes out where, look, he's just a high-end backup quarterback. And then Gardner Minshew kind of came in here. He threw out some magic in there, but he kind of proved that over the course of a 16-game schedule, he just doesn't have the arm strength and the skill set to be able to consistently win as a starting quarterback. And what 2020 did was it helped us achieve the number one overall pick, where 2021 there was a quarterback prospect by the name of Trevor Lawrence that all the experts were out there lauding him as the best quarterback prospect to ever come out. And the Jaguars needed that because the Jaguars just cannot get the quarterback answer right on their own. They need somebody to be handed to them to be able to make sure you have a successful player at that position. And that is exactly what happened. And I know I was out here saying the only way Trevor Lawrence cannot be a success as a Jaguar is if the Jaguars fail him. And right now, the Jaguars are failing him. And it's a bunch of different reasons why. Now, Trevor Lawrence, like I said, he's not having that great of a year statistically. He's not being very accurate. And the offense overall that is being led by Trevor Lawrence just isn't moving. We're basically getting one touchdown per game, and we're not progressing. We're regressing, especially when it comes to just the attrition factor where we're losing guys kind of left and right. And after the bye week, we were really hoping, after beating the Dolphins out in London, we saw a good game by our offense, and we were really hoping that we could continue that success going forward and, maybe end off the back half of the season around 500. I mean, even Gus Bradley, his final 8 games of his first season, led a really bad Jaguars team to a 4-4 record. We were hoping for that, and the Jaguars have not done that, and they haven't had any success from the offense at all, besides getting one touchdown per game. That's been pretty much it. Now, here is the way the Jaguars are failing Trevor Lawrence. Now, it all started in the offseason. I know myself, I said, look, in 2021, I don't care about the defense. I don't care if they're giving up 30 points, whatever, 28 points per game. I don't care about that. I just want the Jaguars to do everything they can to be able to put Trevor Lawrence in his most successful situation as possible. And they go about free agency and they don't bring in anybody. I mean, they brought in an old Marvin Jones who can't really run anymore. They let Keelan Cole walk. They bring in Chris Manhertz, who is more of a run blocking guy. Carlos Hyde at running back. And that was it for that part of it, for the free agency part of it. So you said, okay, we're going to roll with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault. Those are going to be some of our guys. And then in the draft, you go out and get Travis Etienne. And that was something that was going to help out Trevor Lawrence because he was, a teammate of his. He's a running back. He kind of brings a different skill set in here than anybody else. Obviously he gets hurt. So that's kind of an incomplete draft grade, but, he wasn't a wide receiver. I mean, they're going to try to turn him into kind of a hybrid. But the story of that is untold. And that's one of the biggest mysteries is what would have happened if Travis Etienne was able to stay healthy. How much of an impact would he have had? Would the transition to, a hybrid running back, wide receiver, would it have gone smoothly? We don't know. We won't know that until next year. And I hope his recovery from his injury is going okay. And then you don't draft a receiver. You draft Jalen Camp in the 6th round, who didn't even wind up making the final roster. So they didn't do anything when it comes to that. And when you look at the Jaguars wide receiving core right now, it is probably the worst in the NFL. The only team that rivals the Jaguars when it comes to a bad receiving core is the Detroit Lions. And what do you know? If the NFL season ended today, the Lions are drafting number 1 overall and the Jaguars are drafting number 2 overall. So whose fault is that? Is it Trevor, or is it Urban Meyer's fault? Trent Baalke? I mean, Trent Baalke is the GM, so that kind of goes on him. You know what I mean? So, and a big defense of Urban Meyer nowadays is what coach can do anything with these weapons? Like, no coach could come out here and successfully, do good things with this offense. And I tend to agree. I mean, the offense is not very good. We don't have a lot of skill. We don't have a lot of good players out there. But where things fall on Urban Meyer is, I guess we'll start with the coaching staff. Darrell Bevell, not a good hire. Sanjay Lal, the wide receiver coach, is a huge step down from Keenan McCardell. Keenan McCardell really coached these wide receivers up well, and the current wide receiver coach is just pretty bad. Darrell Bevell, I think he's just an interview champion because this guy gets jobs everywhere, and everywhere he leaves, the fan base hates him. Seahawks fan warned us about him. Vikings fans warned us about him. Everybody that, Detroit Lions fans, everybody that had any kind of coaching or offensive coordinator that Darrell Bevell was on the team of, they're all like, look, this guy's terrible. But he keeps getting jobs. So he just, and that's one thing Urban Meyer said. Urban Meyer did not plan on hiring him, but he said that he was that good in his interview where Urban Meyer, basically gave him the job. So, that's the offensive coordinator. So, and he's been getting a lot of heat. But here's the thing. The Jaguars, the whole entire offense had to build the Jaguars, the whole entire offseason had to build an offense to kind of help out Trevor Lawrence. And just not only Trevor Lawrence, but just play to the offense's strengths. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at the team from 2020, the offense wasn't very good, but one thing that it was good at was running the ball. They had a 1,000-yard running back with James Robinson, who's young. He's very gifted. He's a very good player. And, you have an offensive line that their strength is the run blocking ability. So it's not only our best offensive player is James Robinson, but your offensive line strength is run blocking. And then it was very telling week 1 that we were going to be in a lot of trouble because Trevor threw the ball 51 times against the Houston Texans. And the Jaguars only had 14 rush attempts. Only 5 rush attempts by James Robinson. So you had this whole entire offseason to build an offense, to figure out what you want your identity to be. And then you decide that you want a rookie quarterback with a bleh receiving core. That's what's going to drive your offense and not the running game. You're not going to help out a rookie quarterback with being able to have a good running game that you can do. I mean, you had the same exact offensive line as last season. You had the same exact running back. You know that you can run the ball, but they decide that, no, Trevor Lawrence, we're going to put the game on his shoulders, which is a huge mistake for any rookie quarterback. You just don't do that. Broncos versus Jags, the very next game. Trevor threw the ball 33 times, so they toned down on that a little bit. But still, they had less rush attempts, 13 rush attempts that game. 11 by James Robinson. So they're getting James Robinson the ball a little bit more. And then Cardinals versus Jaguars. Trevor had one of his better games. 22 for 34, 65% completion percentage, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, those interceptions look bad, but that game, it's like, man, can we get that game again? And then James Robinson was finally getting the ball more. 23 rush attempts. James Robinson carried the ball 15 times. And then over the course of the next 3 games into the bye week, Bengals, 18 carries. And then the Titans and Texans, he also had like 17, 18 carries. So, they did not go into the season with the plan of running the offense through James Robinson. They were forced to do that after they realized, okay, we can't really pass the ball very well. Guys aren't making plays. We have a rookie quarterback. Like James Robinson is not going to be a focal point. I mean, they had to realize that later on. So that was one thing. Also, it's because that goes on the coaching staff. It's like, look, you didn't identify properly the talent that's on the team. And then one thing that you like to do is you like to kind of compare a rookie quarterback with other quarterbacks in the rookie class. And most specifically, the first round pick. So there's only 4 first round picks that are actually getting meaningful playing time this year. That's Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. And if you would have told me before the NFL draft that Mac Jones would have had the best rookie season, I would have been pretty shocked, because he was pretty much a consistent, like, 4th or 5th best quarterback. But after the draft, when I saw the players on each team, if you would have told me that Mac Jones would have been the best, I would not have been surprised, because Mac Jones is in a terrific situation with the Patriots. They are just an extremely good team. I mean, Mac Jones beat the Bills on Monday Night Football by only attempting 3 passes. And Patriots the last 5 games have allowed 13 or less points. So really all Mac Jones has to do is lead his team to 2 touchdown drives, and, he's winning it. The other teams, the Jets and the Bears are equally as cursed as the Jaguars when it comes to just this quarterback mess. And, I'll put their numbers up on the board. I mean, they're all struggling just like Trevor Lawrence, except for Mac Jones. So outside of the fact that you're not giving the ball to James Robinson, if you want the pass game to be your identity, then what is this offense that you're running? They are doing, when you have a receiving core that's kind of lacking in talent, you have to do different. You have to get creative when it comes to giving them the ball. You have to do bunch formations, trips. You have to set like pick plays. Jaguars don't do that. You know what I mean? They're just having wide receivers running ISO routes and expecting them to beat the opponent. So what opponents are doing, they're not scared of any of our wide receivers. So they're just playing straight up man, one high safety, and just kind of loading the box. And, similar to what we've been seeing like with Bortles and stuff like that. It's maddening to watch this. And then you also have a head coach that comes in front of the media and says, like, I don't know, like, he doesn't have the answers to anything. So it's extremely concerning from Urban Meyer's standpoint. You know what I mean? So this was a colossal failure, for Trevor Lawrence, from, the GM side to the coaching side to the position coaches and even, some of the wide receivers for underperforming. And we can put blame on Trevor Lawrence where it's due. Look, I mean, he's been inaccurate at times. He totally has. But the fact of the matter is, when you take away, all personal opinions about this, one thing that is a fact was that it was a consensus belief that Trevor Lawrence was one of the top 3 to 5 quarterback prospects to ever enter the NFL draft. And another fact of the matter is that since Trevor Lawrence has been on the Jaguars, he has regressed as the season has gone on. Those are 2 facts. And you can point it at all different directions. You can blame the GM, you can blame Urban Meyer, Darrell Bevell, Trevor Lawrence. You can blame any of those things, but the fact of the matter, that is what's going on. And it is up to the team to be able to develop this kind of talent. Because you saw, for example, Ryan Tannehill, when he played on the Dolphins, he was not very good. And then he goes to the Titans and he's actually playing some good football. You know what I mean? A quarterback can only do so much. A quarterback, it's hard for them to outplay the coaching staff and a lot of times the position groups around them. Trevor Lawrence is not damaged goods by any means, but the Jaguars, if Urban Meyer is going to remain the coach of the Jaguars going into next season, he's got to get into mad scientist mode and figure out what needs to be done to make sure that Trevor Lawrence is in a position for success. You know what I mean? Whether it's firing Darrell Bevell, bringing in a new OC, making a system that really fits to Trevor Lawrence's strengths. Maybe look at what he did in college. Bringing in good talent, good wide receiver talent. The Jaguars in free agency need to basically throw a huge offer at the top wide receiver guy coming out, whoever hits free agency, probably Chris Godwin, and just give them an offer that he can't say no to. Because it's going to be hard to get free agents over here, man. I know sometimes money talks, but at the same time, these players only have one career, and they're only in their prime for so long. And the Jaguars are in no way being regarded around the league as a destination spot. So you're going to have to pay a heavy Jacksonville tax to get guys in here. And you also have to assess the draft. What do you like? You got to bring in. You got to double dip at the wide receiver position, and you have to figure out a lot of stuff. The offensive line, the even the tight end position. I think the running back position is set. We have James Robinson. We have Travis Etienne. So I don't know what the dual split carries is going to look like over there. I mean, knowing what we know from Urban Meyer with James Robinson is that Etienne is probably going to be the main back because they do everything they can to make sure James Robinson does not get the ball, which is probably a huge mystery amongst all other mysteries of this team. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is not progressing, and the Jaguars are not helping him. They're and it sucks to see. I've been waiting for a moment like this to be able to get this quarterback, and just seeing this team that I have this unhealthy relationship with just destroy this kid. It's like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? So come on, man. So we'll see what happens. We have 5 games left. There's nothing that can help our offense at this point. There's nothing. You know what I mean? The players that we have are the players that we have. We need to stop getting excited about signing guys like John Brown and bringing them in because they're not going to do anything. You know what I mean? None of these guys are going to do anything. We can't get Dan Arnold. We can't get Jamal Agnew, DJ Chark off of the IR. They're going to be hurt. So it is what it is. Let's just hope that we can get through these next 5 games and, Trevor Lawrence can come out healthy, and then Trevor Lawrence can work on what he needs to work on, footwork and just accuracy and figuring out what he did wrong, because there's one thing we know, he is a grinder and he does care. So, we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for watching this video and listening to me. It's tough sometimes, but I'll be here with you. Go Jags. And also, huge shout out to Cameron for making that interesting thumbnail for me. I really appreciate it. Go give him a follow on Instagram down below. And also join me on the Relevant app. Join Jaguars Fanatics for our Tuesday night podcast with Tom McManus. We call it Duval Vibes over there. Live shows at 8 p.m. Tuesdays, and also 2 hours before kickoffs on Sunday, and halftime shows. So all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. And with all that said, I'm out. Peace.